Welcome to the Vetiver Vibes podcast. We're your hosts, Nikki Fraser, Rachel Dean, and Rhonda Greenberry, certified clinical aromatherapists, coming to you from Ontario, Canada, and on the internet everywhere. We're excited that you have given your time to be here with us, knowing you'll get the best essential oil scoop. This episode is brought to you by Essentria, a leading online school for aromatherapy. If you want to learn more about how to use aromatherapy with kids, check out the mini courses at www.schoolofessentria.com. Hey, podcast land. We are super excited to talk today about just how we came to be Essentria. We've been hanging out as Essentria for quite a few years now, and we love sharing our story on how myself, Nikki, Rachel, and Rhonda came together. We were studying ourselves to be certified aromatherapists, and we actually met in a random Facebook essential oil group, which we found fantastic. We were all looking to see who else was studying to be a aromatherapist, and we were just looking for that support on studying and keeping on track with our studies.
For me, I found that I spent a lot of time on Facebook groups and scrolled. This is Rachel. Scrolled and didn't always like the advice I was seeing either on those groups. And when somebody said something that sounded like it was actually covering the safety of essential oils, I started to pay more attention. And in that case, it was Rhonda who had said something. And once you get to know Rhonda, you'll know that when she gets into something, she will write this really big, long, fabulous explanation of something about essential oils. And this was one of the things I'd come across, and I loved it. And at the same time, she was saying that she was becoming a certified aromatherapist. And I think that I started commenting on it at that point. And she had mentioned that she was also a student at the same school that I was at. And we kind of took our conversation offline at that point and started talking some more. And, then Rhonda introduced me to Nikki.
And we had our great trio of weekly meetings from then on, which was fantastic. I think we met weekly for, what was
Ever?
it?
Forever.
2 years while we were studying? No, I don't even know. Forever, yeah. It honestly felt like forever.
We have not stopped meeting weekly. We literally started, I don't know however many years ago that was now, and we have not stopped. We are meeting online at least once a week, sometimes more. We talk all the time, and by talk I mean we text each other. We don't actually usually talk except for when we're on these meetings, but we do text each other about 100 times a day, and it's been a great friendship and a great partnership for both business and friends, and it's great to hang out with you guys.
Well, and that's kind of where Essentria blossomed from, I want to say, is because once we became certified and we stopped needing to meet to study, I almost felt like there's a hole in my life. We used to meet every Sunday, and all of a sudden Sunday nights I'm like, I feel lost. I don't have my weekly meeting. What do I do?
And Rhonda, how many weeks do you think we actually did that for, where we didn't meet?
Not even 6 months.
Oh God, 6 months? No, I'm thinking 6
not
weeks.
Even. Yeah, it was so short for me. I couldn't wait 6 months to take a course ever. So I'm pretty sure it was only a few weeks. I think every month I probably look at either I'm studying a course or I'm in the middle of a course at all times. So I would say,
well, we can definitely attest to that over the years, Rhonda.
Yeah. Yes. this is very true.
You like to bring us on the ride with whatever you're learning, and I love that. You save me some time.
And that's where we then decided to start taking our aromatic medicine courses together too. Because once we were done our normal certification course, we were like, okay, what's next? And I mean, eventually we just enrolled into that course because we realized there was so much more education that we wanted to learn about when it came to aromatherapy.
Totally. We had gone to that CFA conference where we met Mark Webb, and he did like a little like dabble in introducing aromatic medicine to us at that conference and the other CFA, which is the Canadian Federation of Aromatherapists participants. And it was an amazing weekend. I think it was actually the first weekend the three of us all got together in person after such a long time. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, we realized that this was like, I think that was kind of when our eyes like really opened, that there was so much to learn and that this was something that we would be working on forever and learning about.
There's so much information in that aromatic therapies weekend. It was like jam-packed, and like you said, it just mind-blowing. And we realized we needed to soak up all the extra information that was out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And Mark Webb's a really interesting guy to learn from.
For sure. Unfortunately, he didn't have a course for us to learn from at that particular moment in time. So we went and found another great course and worked with.
We couldn't travel to Australia either at that time. It was a little far for us.
For those listening, we all live in Canada. We're all in Ontario, Canada, and we're all in different parts of the province, and that's why we're on Zoom regularly, meeting that way. And we love to get together once or twice a year, definitely once a year. Sometimes it's twice a year. And we've had like pool parties in my backyard with the family. We actually are well overdue for one of those, with all the kids and husbands and stuff. But generally,
Rachel's our middle ground. So we like to go to her place.
Yeah, we're
That's
all
true.
like 2 to 4 hours apart. So we're not even really a fast driving close together.
No, yeah. So my house ends up being, the central point where we can all hang out and stuff. And we get together, like I said, once a year, and we hang out, we talk, we brainstorm about our business and stuff like that. And then back in those early days of Essentria, we did that a lot online and kind of created a course and school of what we were looking for as the next step, things that we thought would help others who wanted to become certified aromatherapists, and ways that we could kind of improve how the information was being given to our students. And so we've worked on providing that in a way that seems to work well for a lot of people. And that's kind of how we created Essentria, like the reasons we created Essentria. But ultimately, the biggest reason we created Essentria is because we all love hanging out together and talking to each other and being in each other's lives. That's a good way to run a business, I have to say. Not that we can't all get annoyed at each other, of course, as everybody does in every business when you're working with somebody, but I love you guys. So yeah.
Aw, yay. And I mean, it's just great that after so many years, we can be open and honest with each other about most things. And it is, when you're running a business, if you have a business partner, you want to have that connection where you can just be open. You can know what the other person is thinking half the time. It really helps a lot. And I mean, it's what makes a business fun. It doesn't make it work.
Yeah, I think we actually we got together studying because of our connection together. We all came into this being women with families. And so we tend to go through a lot of this similar ebbs and flows where we have challenging times and we have great times. And often they're at different times, which is super helpful.
Thank goodness. Oh my goodness. Yes. So much easier when we're not all on the same negative crisis path or mode. Great path. Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I love that.
And then, after we were running our own personal practices, and we would often troubleshoot with each other with our own personal practice as to, hey, I'm having this idea for my clients, or what can I do for this for my clients? And, after we were doing that for several years, we realized we just needed to develop our own program. And I think that's really where the heart of Essentria is we saw some of the holes that were missing from our own education, and then seeing what we needed to do in our personal practice, and wanting to support more people to become aromatherapist. I mean, I found it naturally just flowed and came together when we started to write the course itself.
Yes. And we really wanted to write a business and write a course and how to start a business based on our own learning experiences that went above and beyond just basic certifications. So our course isn't just the minimum standard, it's everything you'll need to start a business and succeed.
Which was really important because I found that when I first started my aromatherapy business, I had so many questions. I didn't know what I needed to, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know what I needed to know. And so it was pulling all that information together and talking to you guys and other business owners, specifically in the health field, or even just people networking out there that are also running their own businesses, and pulling that all together so that I could be successful in my business at that point, trying to make it easier because, it's great to run your own business. I love it, but it could be overwhelming and daunting if you don't even just have like some basic roadmaps on how to get there. And you'll hear me say, I'm sure throughout this podcast, we do not need to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is round. We know how it works. Other people have done that already. Let's move forward and figure out how to make things work for you so it's smoother and easier. Ideally, that's also an important thing on everyone's
And
life to make it
then
easier.
after that, I think our second motto is done is better than perfect.
Oh yes,
those
that
are the
was very
two
hard
things
for me.
Honestly, those are the two things where we're like, we're not reinventing something that is already working. However, we're also not just going to do stuff because that's always been the way it's been done either. We're always open to make things easier. Just because it's working doesn't mean it can't be improved. Then done is better than perfect, because if we're waiting for perfection, it'll never get done. And as someone who used to be a perfectionist, and I think Rhonda also used to be a perfectionist.
I'm still struggling.
Yeah.
No word to acknowledge it, and that's the first step. That's the first step, Rhonda. Acknowledging.
Everything I put out has to be read over like 10 times, and it probably takes me a bit longer to get it out because I'm just so stuck on how perfect it needs to be.
And now I'm just like, now when I get an idea in my head, I just run with it. I get the basic skeleton structure and I'm like, bam, let's get it done. Let's get it out there. Because people just need the information, and it doesn't need to be perfect. No one can be perfect.
Which honestly is what this podcast is going to be about as well, because, we're here, and this podcast is not perfect, but we're here and it's getting done. And we are very excited to have you guys listening to us, and we want feedback. We want to know what's going on. If you have thoughts about, things as you're listening and you have questions for us, please send those in to us. Our email, since I'll say it now so people have it, will also be in the show notes, but it's info@schoolofessentria.com. And we want to get to know people who are listening. So
email any topics that you want us to talk about. I love even, hey, can you talk about hydrosols more? Can you talk about this oil? Can you talk about the, this carrier oil? What to do in a business, business strategy that you're looking to improve. Email in what you want us to talk about, and we are happy to do that. Or just email in being like, hey, I love this episode. That always puts a smile on our face.
and we're not afraid.
I did like that episode.
Yeah. And we're not afraid to accept a little bit of criticism too, because that actually makes us grow better.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And get better, closer to perfection.
So I think that's a great spot to wrap up this episode. We really wanted to talk about how Essentria came to be, introduce ourselves so that you realize who we are. And over the next couple of episodes, you'll actually be able to tune in and hear about Rhonda, Rachel, and myself, Nikki, a little bit more as we introduce ourselves individually. And we're just looking forward to these episodes in the future, and you guys tuning in and learning more about ourselves, learning more about aromatherapy and how to run a successful holistic practice.
Thank you for tuning in to Vetiver Vibes, the Essential Oil Scoop. I'm Rhonda Greenberry.
I'm Rachel Dean.
I'm Nikki Fraser.
And we will see you next time.
This episode was brought to you by Essentria, a leading online aromatherapy school. You can join their free introductory to essential oil course at www.schoolofessentria.com. If you love this episode or you got a lot of value out of it, please make sure you share it with someone in your community who you think would enjoy it too. If you haven't already subscribed or reviewed the show yet, you can go on over to your preferred streaming platform and hit subscribe, then leave a review. This is the best way to help support us, and we appreciate it. Email us with a screenshot of the review, and you will be entered into our monthly draw for a free mini course. This podcast is for information purpose only. We are certified clinical aromatherapists and holistic health professionals. If you have a medical concern, please refer to your health team. Everyone's health is unique to themselves, so the topics and suggestions stated may or may not apply to you.